Hey everyone, welcome. So today we're going to dive into how websites gather all that information from you using what we call HTML forms. And then I'm going to let you in on a little secret weapon that lets you build them way, way faster than you ever thought possible. So have you ever really stopped to think about it? When you're signing up for a service or searching for something or buying a product online, how does a website actually listen to you? Well, the answer is forms. They're basically the ears of the internet. And I mean, they are literally everywhere. Signing up for something, filling out a survey, checking out your online shopping cart, even just logging in. Forms are the absolute bedrock of how we interact with the web. So yeah, getting good at these, it's pretty much a non-negotiable skill for any developer. Okay, so we get why they're so important. But how do we actually start these digital conversations? How do we build one? Let's start at square one, with the absolute basics. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with the form tag. The best way to think about it is like a digital clipboard, right? It's the container that's going to hold all of our questions and all of our buttons. And it has this really important action attribute that tells the browser exactly where to send all that data when the user finally hits submit. All right, so we've got our clipboard. Now for the fun part. What do we actually put inside of it? Let's break down the essential pieces you'll use to build pretty much any form you can dream up. The undisputed star of the show, the main event, is the input tag. This thing is a total chameleon. Seriously, just by changing its type attribute, you can ask for almost any kind of information you can think of. So here are the old school classics you're going to see all the time. You've got text for simple stuff like usernames. You've got checkboxes for when you can pick multiple things, like pizza toppings. Then you have radio buttons where you can only choose one, like a shipping option. File lets a user upload something, and of course submit, well, that's the button that kicks the whole process off. And this is a perfect example of why it's so important to pick the right tool for the job. If it just needs someone's name, a simple single-line input type text is all you need. But if you're asking for, say, a long comment or a detailed product review, you need the space that a multi-line text area gives you. But what happens when you have a ton of choices? Like maybe a list of every country in the world. You don't want a giant wall of radio buttons cluttering up your whole page. Instead, you use the Select tag. It creates this nice, neat little drop-down menu that you populate with option tags. Super clean, saves a ton of space. Okay, so everything we just talked about, that's kind of the old school way of doing things. Now, let's talk about how HTML5 rolled in and gave our forms a serious intelligence boost, making them way more powerful and a lot easier for people to use. HTML5 brought in this awesome new set of specialized inputs. If you need an email, just use type equals email, and the browser itself will check if it looks like a real email. Need a date? Type equals date gives the user a pop-up calendar. This stuff is amazing because this built-in validation means the browser does the heavy lifting for you and helps stop users from making simple mistakes. Okay, and here are two super helpful attributes you'll use all the time: placeholder and value. A placeholder is just a little hint of what you want inside the box, and it vanishes as soon as you start typing. A value, on the other hand, is a pre-filled default answer that the user can either leave as is or change if they want to. But what if you need, ultimate control? That's where the pattern attribute comes in. This thing is a legit superpower. It uses something called regular expressions, which, sounds complicated, but they're basically just little patterns for checking text. This means you can enforce really specific rules, like a particular format for a postal code or a customer ID, right there in the browser. All right, so now we know what to build. We've got all these cool tags and attributes in our toolbox, but let's be real. Writing all of that out, line by line, tag by tag, it's so slow and man, is it repetitive. There's got to be a better way, right? Oh yeah, 1,000 times yes, it is slow. Anyone who's ever written HTML has felt this pain, I guarantee it. Typing out the same label and input combinations over and over and over again, it's just a massive drag on your productivity. And that is the exact problem we're here to solve. And that's where Emmet comes in. This is the big solution we've been leading up to. It's basically a coding superpower that's built right into most modern code editors. It's a kind of shorthand that lets you write one tiny line and it will just explode into a huge block of perfectly written code. So let's start with the first operator, the plus sign. I want you to think of this as creating siblings, elements that sit right next to each other.
You type header plus main plus footer, hit your tab key, and boom! You've got the basic skeleton of a web page. Just like that.
All right, next up we've got the descendant operator, which is just that greater than sign. This is your go-to for nesting things, for putting one element inside another. So if you want a list item inside an ordered list, you just write OL:LI, and Emmet knows exactly what you mean. And folks, this is where the real magic starts to happen. With the multiplication operator, the little star, you can create a bunch of elements all at once. So you need an unordered list with, say, 3 list items inside? Just type UL/LI *3, hit tab, and you're done. It's incredible. Okay, so you've seen the basics, right? But believe me, Emmet is way more powerful than just that. Let's do a quick run-through of a few more power-ups you can start using, like, today. Want to add a class? Just use a dot. Need an ID? Use a hash. You can add any custom attribute you want with square brackets. You can even put text inside your tags with curly braces. And if you're making a numbered list, the $sign is your best friend. It'll number them for you automatically. But the craziest part? You can combine all of this stuff together. By using parentheses to group things, you can literally build out the entire structure of a complex web page in one single line. I mean, just look at this thing. A header with a nav inside, a main section with a couple of divs, and a footer, all from that one little abbreviation. And that's the payoff, right there. From that one short little line of Emmet, you get this huge, perfectly formatted, perfectly indented block of HTML. This is so much more than a shortcut. It's a totally different way of thinking about building your code. You're thinking about structure, not just typing individual tags. So there you have it. You now know the blueprints, the fundamental building blocks of HTML forms. And you have the power tools, Emmet, to put it all together at lightning speed. The only question left is, what are you going to build first?